Hey, I'm Haley, and this is Extension in the Kitchen. Welcome to the show, guys. Today on Extension in the Kitchen, I am going to focus on a skillet meal. And of course, we're gonna add in some nutrition, some food safety, and a little bit of information on how you can modify recipes. So today we are going to make a one-pan lasagna. And I actually got this recipe off of a website called Tasty. I love this recipe because it's super simple with easy cleanup. If you are a parent or just have a busy schedule like I do, you do not want to spend a whole lot of time doing dishes after you make dinner. So this is a great quick recipe that has a lot of great affordable ingredients as well as easy cleanup. This is going to be the only thing that we pretty much use to cook this whole recipe in. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is just crank up our heat to about medium high. All right. And we're going to also heat up some oil. Now this recipe calls for canola oil, which is a great oil to use. You could use olive oil, you could use vegetable oil. Those are all gonna be healthier options. A lot of times when there's oil in a recipe, if I can, I'll use a spray oil so that I can cut back a little bit on those fats. So I am gonna just spray my pan today. All right, and we're going to let that heat up. And we're gonna first cook our beef, and I've already chopped up some onion for you guys too. So what we're using today, this recipe, all it says is a pound of ground beef. And what we like to share in Extension as far as nutrition goes is choosing healthier fats and foods that don't have those healthier fats, finding ways to cut those back or minimize those. And so our full fat beef is going to have a lot of saturated fat. And so this beef we're using today is a 96.4. So that is going to be a leaner option. So you're cutting out some of those bad fats, but still enjoying our delicious beef here. So we're just gonna slide that right in. It's already getting hot. And I'm just going to use my spatula to break this up into smaller pieces. Now with all the flavor that we're going to be adding into this recipe, you're not going to miss that extra fat. And something I appreciate about a low-fat beef is that you don't have to drain that fat off because it's not going to have a lot of it there. So I'm just breaking this up, guys. I have already made this recipe a couple times at home, and it is a favorite of mine. My husband loves it, and even my 14-month-old loves it. So this is a great option for different ages as well. All right, so there's our beef. Again, we've got it on medium high. We're gonna go ahead and add in, we have a teaspoon of salt and pepper. Now, you know, you could cut a little bit back on the salt if you have, if you desire, maybe you have some heart health issues. But for now, we're gonna keep that in there to give a little extra flavor. Okay? Just mix that right in. Y'all are gonna be surprised at how easy this is. I never would cook lasagna. I would always go buy like a Stouffer's lasagna because the thought of making a lasagna, it just seemed like a lot of work. But this definitely takes all that work out of it. It's a lot more simplified than your traditional lasagna. Okay, so as that is getting cooked up, I'm gonna go ahead and add in my onion for flavor. So I have a medium chopped onion here. So I'm just gonna toss that right in. All right. Now I'm also going to add in some garlic for flavor. Now today I have some fresh minced garlic. About 1 to 2 teaspoons of that is going to be equivalent to a clove of garlic. If you don't have fresh garlic or fresh minced garlic at home, you can definitely trade that for some garlic powder if you have that in your pantry. Okay. All right. So I have my minced garlic, adding that in. I love adding some garlic in for flavor. Now for you guys, I like to measure. At home, I like to cook with my heart, with my eye. If I like a stronger garlic flavor, I might add a little more. If I want there to be a little extra beef in my lasagna, I might add a little bit more of that. So, you know, and I don't like to waste anything either. If I have 1.5 pounds of beef, I'm probably just gonna use it all, to be quite honest. So that's kind of the fun about cooking, is that you can make these dishes your own, guys. So if you see me add something or do something that maybe isn't your cup of tea, definitely make those modifications or changes to make it work for you and your family. All right, so you guys probably just heard the oven beep. I have preheated our oven to 350. You don't have to put your lasagna in the oven, but I prefer to, just to kind of give it that full cook through, and then I like to broil it at the end too to get it nice and browned on top. So I'm going to show y'all how we do that here in a little bit. All right, so we've got all this cooked in. Now the next step we're going to do, so we have 2 cups of sauce. So 2 cups of sauce. Now again, on this recipe, it just says 2 cups of marinara sauce. But I want to show y'all what I grabbed from the store. This sauce is no sugar added. So a lot of our pasta sauces, our marinara sauces, can have a lot of added sugars, and we really want to be mindful of those throughout the day because they can add up really quickly and over time lead to some unwanted illnesses. So if you look at this nutrition facts label, you can see that just from the tomatoes, there's going to be sugar in this, but there's no added sugar, and that's really what we want to pay attention to. So if you look, go all the way down to where it says total sugars. Per half a cup, we've got 6 grams of total sugars, but it includes 0 grams of added sugar. So that's a great thing. That's wonderful. So definitely pay attention to your nutrition facts labels and your ingredients. They will tell you a lot about the foods that you are cooking. All right, this is looking pretty good and done. So right now, we're just gonna add 1 cup of our marinara sauce into this. So I'm just gonna pour about half of this in. A little bit more. and hopefully not make too much of a mess, guys. That was my whole point in doing this skillet meal, is not to make a mess. All right, I'm gonna crank this down just a hair, and I'm just gonna mix this first half of marinara sauce right in to our recipe. I promise you, you're going to want to make this later. All right, so the next step is kind of fun. So we've added that in, and we're kind of reducing it to a paste. So you don't want it to be liquidy. You want it to be nice and mixed in and still thick, okay? All right, so now we're gonna get our lasagna sheets. Now, I want y'all to notice this is important. You want to get the oven ready lasagna, because if not, your noodles aren't gonna cook down enough and they're gonna be kind of crispy. Or if you do get regular lasagna noodles that aren't oven ready, then you can cook them ahead of time and then do this next step, okay? So we've got our sheets of lasagna right here. Turn this down. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna kind of push our beef, onion, garlic, marinara sauce mixture to the side, okay? And I'm gonna kind of turn this down just a hair. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna feed our noodles underneath. So this recipe calls for 6 lasagna sheets, and I've also done this in my cast iron pan as well, and it works great in a cast iron pan. Let's see, sometimes it helps if you kind of break them to get them down in there. And I will say this, while this recipe calls for 6 sheets, I've done it with more. If you like more noodles, if you like less noodles, it's up to you how much you do. I'm gonna try to follow the rules today. All right, so we've got that layer on the bottom. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna top this mixture with another layer, okay? And I wanna make sure I get all that stuff in there. So we're gonna put another layer. You can see even better when you do it on the top, so that you can add in some more. Okay, but again, I'm gonna follow the rules today. It's really hard for me, y'all. All right, so we've got our 2 layers of our noodles. And so now we're gonna spread the rest of our sauce on top. So I'm literally just gonna pour this right over. All right, and I'm gonna just use my spatula to press that marinara sauce out. Okay. And now, another way that I have modified this recipe calls for a cup of ricotta cheese. And again, dairy is another food that we want to choose more of the low-fat options if we can, because the fats that are present in our dairy foods aren't good for us, okay? So we want to pull back on those if we can. So this is actually a fat-free ricotta cheese. You could also find a low-fat. That would be a good option as well in comparison to the full-fat option. There went my spoon. There it went. Let's grab another one. Can't hold on to anything today. So we're gonna keep on just dolloping that ricotta cheese right in. Okay. And you can use the spatula to kind of blend that in as well as best as you can. As it cooks down, it will spread out a little bit more. All right. And I'm gonna go ahead and just turn this off for now because we're gonna finish the cooking process in the oven. All right, so we have that ricotta. Again, it's fat-free. And last, we also have our lower fat mozzarella. So this calls for a cup of mozzarella. Again, a great modification to this recipe is swapping out that full fat mozz for your lower fat mozz. And we're just gonna sprinkle this right on top. Let's see, I'm gonna sit this right here. Sprinkle it on top. It's hard to not want to add some extra cheese. And I have done this with a Colby Jack. I've done it with a shredded cheddar. So like if you don't like mozzarella, you can swap it out for a different type of cheese. It's still gonna be delicious. And lastly, this recipe calls for you to top it with a fresh basil. I didn't have a fresh basil when I made it at home, and you might not want to buy a whole bunch of fresh basil if you're not planning on using it. So what we're using today is just a dried Italian blend here. So this is Italian, so it's going to be wonderful. So it calls for about 2 tablespoons. When you are swapping out a dried herb for instead of the fresh herbs, you want to reduce the amount that you're using because these are going to have a stronger flavor. All right, so that is it. And I brought this pan from home. I love it. It's a grilling pan, and so this will come off. But again, if you use a cast iron pan, you can put the whole pan in there and just make sure you're using your oven mitt to get that out because you don't want to burn yourself. All right, so we're gonna take this and we're gonna put it in the oven. Again, we're at 350 and we are gonna bake this for 25 minutes. Now again, usually around the 22-minute mark, I'm gonna crank it up to a broil and get it nice and brown on top. So I will show y'all that here shortly. But let's set a timer. 25 minutes, and we will be ready to check this out here shortly. All right, it's ready. Let's go ahead and pull it out of the oven. I'm gonna turn that off. Be careful as you are getting it out. I'm just gonna put my handle back on here. And there she is. All right, so this is our skillet lasagna. Again, I love this. It's got our dairy, it's got, some vegetables, some lean beef. I do suggest pairing this with a big salad. That would help you to get in more of those vegetables for the day, as well as some good fiber and nutrients that are important for the body. That fiber is going to help us to feel more full as well. And so let's plate this and see how it looks. All right. Hopefully I don't make a big old mess putting it on my plate. I love getting that nice brown top, so good. Get me a nice large slice. All right. And there is our skillet lasagna. Again, great quick option for dinner and super healthy feeling and great for the whole family. So if you want more information on quick and easy healthy recipes like this, feel free to give me a call here at the Extension office. And if you have other ideas or suggestions for future cooking shows, feel free to reach out to me anytime. And thank you guys so much for being here today. Hope to see you next time.